For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, we are live and amplified. So let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Welcome, everybody, to another live and amplified livecast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. Tonight, we have a very special guest. We have Megan Knight. How's it going today, Megan?
Amazing. How are you?
Doing pretty good. We worked out the technical issues to a certain degree. We're not streaming on Twitch like I wanted to, or we have been for the last few weeks, but I got it on Facebook, so we're good. We're live streaming. People can watch us, so that's the important part. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to share it.
Okay, awesome. But I'm really excited to sit down and chat with you. I know you just last year you dropped a new single, and then 3 days ago you dropped a music video to that single. So I'm really excited to talk about that, and then we might talk a little bit about your American Idol experience, but we'll see if we have enough time. But first off, before we get into all that, new single, new music video, all the cool stuff you're working on, what's kind of your introduction for the people that are just getting to meet you for the first time? What's your origin story into music?
Okay, so I am a singer-songwriter based in Jersey, but I record frequently in Nashville and Muscle Shoals, Alabama. So my two latest singles are recorded in Alabama at Nut House Recording Studio, and I absolutely love it there. That's kind of my story right now. It's like pop, country, and Americana sort of sound.
Awesome. If my sound engineer is listening, his ears just perked up because he's really infatuated with Muscle Shoals. Really?
Yeah, it's amazing there. Something runs in the water, I swear.
Yeah. There's this documentary that he's trying to get me to watch, and I definitely am going to watch it. It's just trying to find time in my day to sit down and watch the whole thing. So it was so good. Yeah. And you'll see some of the recording studio I record at in that documentary. Awesome. I will definitely have to check it out now. So you're still really young in your career, but who kind of gave you the original idea or the original thought that you could be a musician, or who introduced you to music? Like, I guess that's a better way to word it.
So my parents have always loved music. It kind of was never pressured on me to be a musician, but when I was around 12 or 13, I picked up a guitar because my dad had one like sitting in the corner that he never used, and sometimes would play like two chords on. And I love making like video content, like on a flip video share as a kid. Like I used to make like little movies, like commercials with news segments, and then I would sing like in between. And then one day I was like, maybe I should actually learn how to play this thing. So I would just strum it open and call that like part of the show with some karaoke in the background. So I just decided to like learn a little bit of it at 12. And then I got my first guitar at 13, taught myself. Never was going to play for anyone. It was just a hobby. And then my mom was like, you need to go to an open mic. I think you have a talent. And I got hired. My first open mic I ever played. And I was like, this is a job. This is a career. No way. And I kind of just like fell into it. That job led to another one and another one. So I was like, oh my gosh, I guess this is my calling.
Mm-hmm. And so at that point, were you just doing like cover songs and what have you?
Yes. And then I started writing my first songs at 13. So like later on in the year of 13. So I started with the covers, and then I was like, oh my God, this is like an actual career. And then that's when I started writing, and I actually put out my first EP at 13 as well. Yeah.
Awesome. So when you first started the whole process of writing, kind of discovering who you were as an artist, who were some of the musical influences you were listening to?
So it started with Dave Matthews, because that was my dad's favorite since I was a little kid. So when I picked up an acoustic guitar, I didn't really like learn his music, but he was the one that I was like, all right, I'm inspired if he can do it. Like, I feel like I want to do it. So that was the first guy. And then it was Damian Rice, because he owned the acoustic guitar and wrote with it and would put on like these awesome shows just by himself. Same thing with Glenn Hansard. So they also got me into it. And then I started listening to like a bunch of pop and rock music so that you can hear those inspirations kind of in my music, like those genre tastes. And then the country came like kind of last, honestly, but that's where my voice naturally kind of fell. I feel like I have this inflection where it's kind of country, but I started mainly with like rock and alternative, honestly.
Gotcha. And then at what point did you, or like what age did you kind of just fully lean into the country side of things?
So I started with country in Muscle Shoals at 14. I recorded a record there at 14. And that was fun. But then I actually wound up doing a record local here in Blackwood with Jamie Meyerson. And it was very cinematic because I always wanted to do a record with strings. So that's like the influences are teetering. So it like kept going back and forth. So it's only recent where I'm like, yes, I'm 100% going for pop countries, but this is the story. So the EP was very cinematic, and I'm happy it was, because I started messing with like the film and TV side of things on that record. My song Fade got placed on CMT for their show Racing Live. So I was like, this is cool. And that's when I realized I want to be like a pop country artist, but also do film and TV on the side with whatever genre. But going into the transition, I recorded Bad Decision in Nashville after State of Mind. And that's when I was like, oh, pop country is definitely my sound. So then this new EP, I went back to Muscle Shoals and went back to my country roots, and I'm going to stay there. But I also want to work on film and TV on different genres.
Gotcha. And so you've been experimenting with the sync placement and all that fun stuff. What's that journey kind of been like for you?
Oh my God. I honestly love it so much. It's a different world, and it's a completely different mindset than being an original artist, like the actual artist side of things, because when it's film and TV, you kind of just have free reign to do whatever sound. And I've loved it. We did Somewhere Over the Rainbow for Honda in Europe. So we almost had that placement. And then we lost to like an instrumental, like we were right there. And then they changed the creative team, and they're like, we're picking the instrumental, but still it was fun. And we almost got a scene in Pretty Little Liars, and last minute they took the scene out. Like that scene just didn't make the final cut of that episode, but like I love the ups and downs of it. It's just like I want to keep going and going because it's exciting, and I'm like, how am I even working on these projects for these companies? It's kind of cool. So definitely want to do more of that.
For sure. It, the sync licensing and stuff like that is something that I'm surprised more musicians aren't like dabbling in or getting involved in, because there's so much content out there. There's always so many movies being made, and with all these streaming platforms, there's more content, TV shows, like all this stuff. There's more content than ever being made, and so there's got to be enough work for everyone. I'm kind of surprised that more musicians aren't getting involved in the sync placing and all that fun stuff. So
I feel like it's hard to just know how to get into it. I was lucky because the producer I worked on my record State of Mind with, he was already in that world. Like he got placements with like Twix and big brands like that for TV. So he kind of took me on as a mentor, actually. So we worked on State of Mind, and he said, hey, actually, if we take on this project State of Mind, in return, could you help me with some film and TV stuff, and I will mentor you? And I'm like, yeah, 100%. So that's kind of how State of Mind came about, because I've always wanted to work on stuff that was like cinematic, and that felt random because I started in country, and then we're like, whoa, this was like kind of very different. What's going on? And that is because he was mentoring me at that time. And it was a great experience. I love Jamie for that, but I feel like the struggle is finding how do you get into that world? Like that's just how I fell into that world. But I'm trying to get back into it. Jamie moved to Kansas City recently, and he's like settling down into a family and not really working on music right now. But I'm like, yo, Jamie, we got to get working on that again. So hopefully soon.
Gotcha. So you're from New Jersey. How does a girl from New Jersey find out about Muscle Shoals and stumble across?
It's a crazy story, kind of. So when I was 14, I played this backyard party, and a man named Gene Stevenson was there. And he's like, I love your music. Can I get one of your CDs? I'm going to send it to someone in Alabama. And I was like, sure. Like I didn't expect anything of it, but who he gave the CD to was Gary Nichols. And he was the lead singer of the Steel Drivers, which is a bluegrass band for like a while. They won a Grammy and everything. And I was like, who wants to work with me? What? So I was like freaking out. So my family, my parents and my grandparents and I all flew down to Alabama and we're like, let's see what this guy's all about.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I got involved. You wound up being like awesome. And I met Jimmy Nutt, and he's the engineer on my very first project. And he's the producer, one of my co-producers on my new record. And we just made like lifelong, like friendships and everything. And I've been going there since I was like 14, and that's how I wound up there.
And that's where you recorded State of Mind, right?
That's where I recorded my first one. You can't even find it anymore.
Okay.
So that was self-titled. It's called Megan Knight.
Okay.
We swept that because my voice was only 14 years old. Yeah. So it was very young. I'm like, all right, that can go now. I think
okay.
I'm not.
The reason I asked is because you kept saying you recorded your first EP when you were 14, and the only first EP I'm on here is in 2018. And I'm like, all right.
Oh, I got a story for you. Hold on.
Okay.
So I had my very first EP at like 13, 14. It was 3 tracks that I cut with one of my first vocal coaches, like in PA.
Yeah.
And that was like up and down super quick. We wound up recutting those 3 songs in Alabama. So that was my first record, and we had other songs on that. Then that was wiped. So that's already 2 CDs made, gone. And then so now we have out State of Mind, and then this new EP is coming out. And of course I have like a bunch of singles, but it's been a journey. Yeah,
for sure. So you originally cut the first EP, and then you recut it when you went down to Muscle Shoals, and then wiped it again. Is there any thought about going for a third time to see what happens, or are they?
Oh God, not at all.
No. Okay.
The only reason we wound up recreating those 3 songs is because when I started my career, everything was flowing so extremely fast. Like I really fell into it. Like I told you, I didn't even know my life calling was to be a musician. It was just kind of like, I guess, my divine purpose. I was like, okay, cool, we're doing this thing now. But the 3 songs we wound up recutting because it was all within a couple months span. So Gary was like, I love those songs. Can we recut them? And then we're going to write a bunch of songs, and that's what we're going to put out. And I was like, heck yeah. So that's kind of like what the story was.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, those songs are in retirement now. I've moved on.
Gotcha. Sometimes it's fun to go back and revisit, but if they've been played enough and they've already been recut twice, it's like,
oh, exactly.
Or been cut twice,
Exactly. I was just like, I'm ready to move forward.
Gotcha. And so kind of moving forward, you dropped a couple of singles in 2021, but My Drama is the one I'm referring to because you just dropped a music video for that. And you'd mentioned that you have another EP coming. So this is a single for that, correct?
Yes, it is. So my EP is going to be called My Drama.
Okay.
But before that EP releases, we're actually going to do one more single. I just found out today. I was just talking to like my team and everything, and I decided last minute I want to do another video actually. So I think we're going to have that coming very soon.
Nice. And is Hard Way to Go, that's also a single for the upcoming EP, or is that a standalone single?
Yeah, that's going to be a part of the EP as well.
Okay. I just noticed it was 2021, and I know sometimes musicians, they'll just throw out a random standalone before promoting an EP. So cool. So for My Drama, what's kind of the story behind that song?
So My Drama, that was the first song I think my co-producers and I worked on. So we went into the studio with a completely clear mind, a blank piece of paper, and we kind of just sat in the room and we're like, all right, what the heck are we going to write about? And I was going through a bunch of song ideas from like even years back and just saying random lines. And I think I found Together We're a Work of Art as like a line that I wrote literally in like 2013, which is weird. We're going backwards again.
Yeah.
But it was like an old line, but it was kind of like fitting to my life in the present moment. And I was like, wait, this is like so weird. And I feel like I always manifest stuff in music. So I'm just like, oh my God, like I wrote this in 2013. Why is this relating to me now? When in 2013, I didn't know anything about love or love. But I was just realizing like true love, like it's not a perfect fairy tale thing. And it's about accepting all parts of a person, the light side, dark side, just all the in between, and learning to love that and helping people grow and evolve it, because that's the point of life. I think that's why we're here, is to learn lessons and stuff like that. So that's kind of like what that song was about. Like I accept and love all of you. And that's like the love that I want. So that's what we wound up writing about from that little line I wrote in 2013.
Nice. So when you do write, what kind of is the process behind that? Are you like just ideas and then you'll kind of go back later? Are you more structured with your writing, free flowing? What's kind of your creative process?
So it's always different. I do love to like write stuff every day in my phone and just leave it there for when I'm about to go into a writing session. That's mainly kind of the way that I work. But for example, Hard Way to Go completely wasn't like that at all. I was sitting in my music room in here. That song I wrote by myself. And I was about to learn Ohio by Neil Young. And I just went into the drop D tuning and strummed it open. And I was like, wait, this sounds cool. And just played random chord shapes. And that song felt like it came from another planet. Like that song pretty much wrote itself, but that was about my life in the music business and life on the road and sacrifices I've made since a kid. So the writing process kind of varies for me, but it mainly does start from like a line I write in my phone.
Gotcha. So My Drama, it dropped in December, right? Or when did the single itself drop?
That's a great question. Time flies here.
I just know it says 2021. So
it is recent. I promise you that. I'm trying to look it up now. You got me thinking.
I guess I can go through your, but anyway, so
I don't even know how to see the date, but it's recent.
Yeah, you got the music video that dropped on Friday for it. Was that all? How did you kind of decide that was one of the singles that you wanted to A, release, and B, put a music video out for?
So I remember you were asking about if Hard Way to Go was a standalone single. And actually I talked to my co-producers when we finished the project about doing that, but they're like, no, it actually fits the record. So I totally think we actually should include this on the EP for variation. But My Drama, all along, they said, I think this should be the single because it's like a short song. It's hooky, catchy, and a little bit more pop oriented. So I remember my producers were just saying, I think this is the best bet and the best strategy because the songs that are going to be coming out on the EP are a little more storytelling based rather than contemporary. So yeah, that's why we kind of chose that one. And for the video, we thought like My Drama, like you can really do a lot with this video, like add the dramatics. So that was an easy one to choose to create.
Gotcha. That makes perfect sense. And then, so you also mentioned that you're going to have a third single coming out. Have you already, or do you know what song it is, or has nothing been officially determined yet?
Yes, I do. So actually I have a videographer here in New York. Well, obviously I'm not in New York, I'm in Jersey, but I mean like here in this local area instead of having to travel to Nashville because I shot My Drama in Nashville. But I just called him the other day and I was like, could you do like a lyric video or something for the single coming out? So that's what he's working on now. And that'll be out really soon. So I'm excited.
Gotcha. But right now, all the focus is on My Drama and, pushing that out. What's the reception been like for My Drama?
It's been good. I'm excited because I know My Drama is a little bit of a different sound. Like I know it's like pop country, but it has that like Shoals flair to it. So it's not something I've quite heard before. So I was like kind of like interested to see how people would respond to it because I just have not heard something like it. So I'm like, are people gonna like it? Or like, what are they gonna think? But they've really been enjoying it. So that made me really happy. I'm glad it's being received well.
Gotcha. And how's the pandemic kind of affected the release of everything? Obviously it's affected everything, but
it actually pushed back the record like by a lot. The record was wrapped up before COVID even like was a thing pretty much. Like it was mostly done by then. But then we like needed to hire like a synth player to like finish it up and stuff. So then that's what kind of was a little bit difficult. Like we've had everything else laid out, but then getting everybody to be able to be in the studio at once and everything was a little tough. And It worked out though. And like the music video was obviously like really pushed back, and that was with the whole crew. So obviously we had to be sure things were open and fine, because we rented an Airbnb for that and everything. And people were weird with the Airbnbs. We're like, oh my God. Remember we were like afraid to like go into rooms and stuff. And I remember when we would like wipe down our grocery bags with Clorox wipes.
Like
That's how bad it was.
Like the whole month before we actually went into lockdown, before my work, there was people that would bathe in the
hand sanitizer.
Yeah, the hand sanitizer stuff. And it's like, yo, this place smells like alcohol.
Oh, it's so bad.
Yeah. And I would tell them, like, because there's a handful of people that would just like bathe in it, right? And I'm like, you do realize you're doing more harm than good by bathing in that stuff.
100%. Yeah.
What do you mean? I was like, well, yes, it's killing bad germs, but it's also killing all the good germs. It's keeping the common cold away from you right now. They're like, what? I don't know what to do now. And it's like,
I'm just happy we're kind of over that phase. Yeah. Like now I'm kind of in the space. I'm like, I need to keep my immune system up. So I'll be continuously going out. So I still have, some immunity or whatever, but I did get COVID.
Vitamin D has always been the secret. Like I know that, vitamin D deficiency was always kind of like, I knew a lot of people that got COVID and they got it bad and they were all vitamin D deficient.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Noted. Maybe I need to like upgrade the amount of vitamin D I'm getting.
Yeah. It's just a thing that I noted. And then they started taking like the supplements or drinking OJ or whatever. And then things were fine. So I was like,
vitamin D, vitamin C.
Yeah.
All the vitamins.
Cool. So was the original idea for this album to kind of release and coincide it with the whole American Idol thing, or did it all just kind of...
It kind of like all just happened, because even before Idol, I wanted to work on a project, but the Idol was kind of like a last minute thing. I got an email from a talent scout asking me to do a private audition. Mm-hmm. And they asked me 2 times before, but by the 3rd time, I thought it was a sign from the universe. So I was like, all right, I'll try this out. Like, it feels like I'm supposed to at this point. And it was for the producers in New York. So there's a round before the judges, and I went right through it. They're like, yeah, we'll give you a shot in front of the judges. We like you. I'm like, I just honestly didn't expect it. So I was like, this is freaking awesome. So then I remember the rest of the day, it was my dad and my uncle who took me. We just kind of like enjoyed the day in New York, and we're like, oh my God, this is like great. This is like someone expected. This is like awesome. And yeah, it was like kind of a random part of my journey, which was an awesome part. And a lot of people see that as the part, but I'm like, I did not even expect to be doing this. This is awesome.
Yeah. And that you auditioned in DC or something, right? Is that kind of where they had you? All right.
Mm-hmm. So it was a few months after New York, they had us in DC, and that's when I was to meet the actual judges. Yeah. And they surprised me. I was just kind of like doing a B-roll thing for the camera, and they just like popped out behind me, and I was like, what is happening? I was like, this is so cool, but I was not prepared for this.
And then they put you on the boat and made you audition right there on the spot.
Yeah, it was an interesting experience, but it was a good one. But it was right near the White House. So like during my audition, they didn't show it, but helicopters kept flying over.
Oh,
like,
really?
They kept starting and stopping my audition, but you guys would never know.
That's wild. That is so wild.
Yeah.
But no, that's really cool that you got a chance to audition for American Idol. And, we bring a lot of musicians on that have done The Voice, America's Got Talent, Idol, all the different stuff. And they've all got really good stories about it being a positive experience, whether they didn't make it past the audition round or like the big audition round, or if they went deep into the series, they all had a very positive experience, which is
so cool to see.
Which is a good thing, because like the shows in and of themselves kind of they don't have the same luster that they used to.
Right. It is so different when you're actually living it. Like, I'll tell you, I've seen that show growing up, but when I was actually there on the set, like, it is a whole new world. Like, it is just, it was something I've never seen before. I was just like, what is going on? And it was weird because I accidentally like manifested being on the yacht. I swear to God. So there was no cameras around me, no microphones. We were standing in the line. And I remember whispering to my family, I'm like, oh my God, I wonder what's going on the yacht. Like, I wonder if the judges are on there. I want to go on a yacht party. That's what I said. I was like, I want to party on that yacht because we were freezing.
Yeah.
It was cold. I'm like, I want to go to like somewhere warm as just a joke. Cause we're just sitting there forever. I'm just talking amongst my family. And then what do you know? They picked me to go on the yacht. I'm like, manifestation is real.
Yeah. That's cool. That's,
yeah.
you know, and it made you stand out amongst the show, even though that was your only appearance because they just like, I was reading through like the wiki page or whatever, and everybody's like, yeah, we don't really know what happened to her. She just never showed up again. And I'm like, that sounds like TV for you, but
it was a lot of TV stuff, but that's when I go back to it was a world that was cool to see because there's just so much more to it than you would actually see. I wish they would film more of what's actually going on because I find that is super interesting. Well,
and when it's all said and done, I'm sure they'll do like a American Idol documentary series, or the documentary series are really big right now. So
I think that would be a good idea. That's something I would really want to see or like be in and just kind of explain it because I have stories on stories about that situation. But we would be here forever. There's tons to talk about in that side of it all.
Actually, you just gave me an idea. Thanks.
You should do that. You should seriously like pitch that. You will be a millionaire.
Actually, well, so I do some documentary work on the side. I was in the process of, my dad used to work for the last race car driver to win Daytona on the beach, like when it was like still a beach race.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can get you an interview. And so I sat down with him for like an hour and a half. And I've got like all this footage, and it's like, I don't really know what to do with it. Everybody he mentioned is like dead or like too old to remember anything. So it's like,
oh no.
Yeah. And so it's just like, okay, I've got this footage. It's cool. And so, yeah, that's definitely an interesting idea.
I think it would be a really good one because I have friends that have been on the shows too. And we love to just get together and like have story times because there is just so much you guys don't see that's interesting and like fun.
Yeah. It would be one of those deals where it's like, okay, do you do just like per show? So like obviously an American Idol experience is different than the Voice experience is different than America's Got Talent. Mm-hmm. But there is some common thread there.
100%. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I will have to visit that idea. Thank you for that.
Of course. I can totally see it happening.
Yeah. Also, and especially with the whole live and amplified thing and music, and it seems to fit right in our alley. So
definitely.
But so you got the My Drama music video out now. It's up on YouTube and all that fun stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
So CMT featured it recently. So it's on CMT.com right now as well.
I was just about to bring that up, actually, as you mentioned it, because I saw that and I was like, oh, I should probably take a screen cap of this and use this to promote it on our Instagram that you're going to be on the podcast tonight. So how did that whole process come up? Was it something they just selected, or did you have to like go through a submission process?
So my friend Brittany, well, like she does like my PR and everything, but I guess she just somehow got that opportunity. I honestly don't really know how that happened, but I'm grateful it happened.
Hey, that works. That's what you have PR people for, right? They just make it happen.
They just make it happen. Brittany is the bomb. I literally have to tell everyone because I'm just like, Brittany is the queen.
Nice. That's awesome. It's always good to have somebody like that in your corner. They just get stuff done.
Yep.
So awesome. And then the new EP coming out, have you announced a date, or is it just sometime this year?
Just sometime this year. So actually my plan is that I don't even know if I want to tell you, but I'm going to tell you. So we've taken like so long to get this EP out that we're like, oh my God, it's dragging. So I don't want to ever stop like releasing music and have a lull period. So that's why I'm deciding to do another single and then the EP, because I'm already going back down in 2 weeks to Alabama to work on more music. So I'm trying to just keep stuff steadily going out. So that's why it feels like you guys are waiting forever, but it's just because I just don't want to have a lull period. So stuff are going to keep being planned out and releasing hopefully faster than usual. So now we have a plan. Thank God. Once again, thank you, Brittany, because she keeps me scheduled and organized, which is always the goal.
Awesome. It's like you've seen our podcast before. You knew exactly the next question was going to be where you're at creatively currently. So. Oh,
yes. So that's exactly what I'm doing. I actually already have, I already know what my next single is going to be for my next record. So we're definitely getting ready to do a whole lot of stuff, and I cannot wait.
Nice. So you'll be down at Muscle Shoals here in the next few weeks recording. What's it like recording in Muscle Shoals?
I love it. So I actually started a new creative process kind of in Alabama the first time with the first record that's not out anymore. I wrote a lot of those songs with Gary. A couple of them were my own because, like the EP, the first one, I wrote all those songs by myself.
Yeah.
So then the rest of it I co-wrote with Gary, and I think there's like a couple covers on that one. But that process was just spending time one-on-one with Gary and writing. And then when we were ready, we had a full band come in and we recorded the whole thing live. This time with this EP coming out now and the 2 singles, I just sat there and I co-produced with James LeBlanc and Jimmy Nutt and co-wrote with them as well, and built it like hands-on from the scratch of everything. So we built drums from programming and laid down guitars one by one, just us 3 in a room. And it was an awesome process. So that's how I want to do music forever. I feel like I never want to go in with the band live ever again, I don't think, because if you're actually producing, it's hard to keep track of everything that's happening when so much is going on. And I like controlling, I don't want to say controlling, but like hearing every single instrument and making sure like every single note of every single instrument is like what I imagined.
Yeah.
So it's cool. I love this new process of just going instrument by instrument, note by note, section by section. So I'm going to stick with that for now, at least.
It's interesting that you brought it up that way, because like just bands and their style in studio, like there's so many bands that enjoy recording live. Like if they can record live, they will. But then there's also bands that there's so much depth and there's so much like layering that goes on that they can't record it live. So it's really interesting that you brought it up, and that going down to Muscle Shoals kind of changed it, because weren't they like really famous for recording live in studio? Wouldn't that kind of like
so that kind of like goes back to this other topic. So if you guys go on my YouTube, we have live sessions in Nut House Studios. So that's all live recording. I actually wanted to do 2 different versions of everything, so it's different. And if you sit there and listen, like some of the lines and the wording is different. It's just like little tiny things, but I did want to have 2 completely different versions, and doing a live version versus a studio version where we sat there and, we're super specific about everything. I think it's kind of a cool dynamic and something I want to keep doing.
For sure.
I guess that's kind of my creative decision. And that's how I really like writing with them as well. I think it works really well, at least for how I'm wired.
Gotcha. And when you go into the studio, how long does it usually take to produce a song?
I mean, probably like an 8-hour day, but we also have like lunch and stuff like that. So I don't really know. And it's a lot of like talking of just random life, because I feel like in creativity, that's really important. I always realize if I'm like super in the zone with something, not good. So you gotta make it like a chill vibe for,
you gotta break it up a little bit. But even still, like if you're knocking it out, even with all that, and you're still knocking it out in a day, that's really good turnaround time. Like, I mean, obviously being independent, you probably don't have the budget to be spending days in the studio working on one song.
It truly depends. I mean, we usually revisit it. So it's an 8-hour day to kind of get the bones, like this new single that we're working on, unrelated to this record, but we wrote it upstairs the studio for a couple hours, and then we went downstairs and laid down the drums with programming, bass, guitars, a slide hook part or whatever. And that was all within an 8-hour day, but we would still have to go back. I want to add different instrumentation to it, have to recut the vocals because it was a scratch vocal. So there's still work to be done, but I mean, we do pump out like the bones of a song within that time frame, I guess.
Gotcha. Cool. That makes sense. And then just kind of real quickly, outside of music, what do you do? What are some of your hobbies when you need to escape?
I love working out. I love yoga, running, Pilates. I just recently got into lifting weights, and that is a whole new world to me. That is like crazy, but I do enjoy it. So I like doing that. I like going out and doing dinners and stuff with my friends. But I want to get into hiking more. I just started doing that and really enjoyed that. But
gotcha. Is there a lot of hiking in New Jersey, or would
like
that
PA?
be okay?
Yeah, so just like an hour or so, but I really enjoy that. But I do get a little scared sometimes because I thought I almost had a near-death experience at one point, but we're good. We're here.
Yep. Hey, you're sitting in front of me, so that near-death experience didn't happen. So that's
not
good.
at all. No, we were good.
Nice. And then just kind of moving forward, what is your show schedule looking like? Are you actively playing live shows, or is that something that's been on hold?
Yes. So if you guys go on meganitemusic.com, all of my dates are listed on there and updated regularly. We do a bunch of fun stuff, especially in the summertime. There's fun stuff right now, but I just mean summer's of course different because like outside. And
do you do festivals and stuff during the summer?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. Cool. Festivals. I'm really excited about this year just because we'll finally be able to get back out there. Yeah. I'm trying to get a couple of booked. There was one down in Florida at the end of the month. They wanted us to come out and do some media stuff for them, but I just couldn't make it happen that quickly. It's like,
oh man, next year.
Yeah. I had done some stuff for them in the past, like the last few years. I'd done some stuff for them, but, not since pandemic, but, it's just like this year, it was like, it's not as easy as a trip as it used to be. Like I lived in Tallahassee, Florida for a few years. And so it was like a 4-hour drive. Now it's like a 24-hour drive from where I'm at. So
yeah, that sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
Although we drove 12 hours to Nashville, like our last trip, because for the music video, we had so many bags, like so much clothes. I'm like, we are not paying to check all this in. We're driving. So we drove, but it was just kind of straight. It was the best drive ever. Like I felt like we were there like instantly kind of, but 24 hours or something, I can't imagine doing any more than 12.
I mean, driving's really not bad. I enjoy it. Like the long drives, I'll drive from where I'm at in Texas up to Chicago where my sister lives. And I'll do that in a sitting. It's like nothing for me. I'll go drive down to where my dad is in South Florida. It's nothing, but it's just, when I say it's not easy to make a 24-hour drive, it's like because then I got to take time off of work. I've got to like reschedule podcasts and all that stuff.
Yes, I get that.
Yeah. And, it is what it is. But I'm really looking forward to all the new music you got. Hopefully we'll catch you at a music festival this summer. Have you started booking any of those yet, or?
Usually the festivals don't kind of roll in until around April-ish. Gotcha. So hopefully I'll know more by then. But
cool. I'll have to keep an eye out on your website and all that fun stuff. But one thing before we leave, every person that comes on the podcast gets one spin of the random question generator.
Oh, God. All right.
So
all right.
If you are ready, I have your question right here. And it might be the best question we've ever had.
Okay.
What is the strangest place you've ever fallen asleep?
Okay. Strangest place. You got me thinking now about all of the days with my friends partying. I don't know, probably on a floor at my friend's house when I should have been awake. I don't know, a floor?
Okay, that works.
A plane? I think that's kind of normal though.
Yeah, it's like I'm in my head. I'm like, oh, she's gonna have some crazy story about hiking in the woods or something, and
Never slept there. Never
no,
slept in the woods. I only almost died in the woods. That's as fun as it gets. Got ticks in the woods once with my friends as a kid. That was
ticks are brutal.
Very grateful I didn't get some Lyme's disease or something.
Yeah, I grew up in doing the Boy Scouts and camping. I don't do ticks. I don't play with ticks. Like I see them.
I go camping a lot as a little kid, but we were glamping.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, once again, thank you so much for hanging out with us. If anybody wants to check out the new music, the music videos, or interact with you on social, where's the best place to do that?
So my Instagram and Twitter are Megan Knight 20. My Facebook is Megan Knight, but I think if you write in Megan Knight Music, that page pops up. Mm-hmm. And my website is megannightmusic.com. Thank you so much for having me.
Yep, absolutely. Once again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Megan, thank you so much for hanging out with us. It's been an absolute blast. I know it's getting late by you, so I wanted to try and keep this as short as I could, but it's just
don't worry about it.
So fun chatting with you, and hopefully we'll get you back on when you have the next EP out and we can dive deep into that. So, but once again, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will catch you all later.
Thank you.